Hello, everybody. Welcome to what is likely to be the first of probably three, if not four, videos. I was prepping for this last night, looking at my stuff, thinking about like how long is this realistically going to take? Based on what you've done for other collection like video stuff like this. Probably going to be three videos because I realize I have to start or work in at some point these special edition stuff, which is what I'm going to do today. And figuring out if I was gonna do three stacks in one video or four stacks and whatever it is. I think probably at least three videos is gonna be how long this takes. But this is a video on my Switch collection as it is right now, because this is very different from what I've done for my Wii U collection, which I did do a video on, and that collection is still growing, and it's going to be more like the video that I think I did too, but nobody really cared, on my vinyl, which is obviously is a collection that is also still growing. The reason I haven't really finished up on that is because not only is it still growing, but it didn't really seem to have much interest on a channel that is otherwise all gaming. So I did want to do this though because I was thinking about it before, and then Metal Jesus, the big YouTube name, did a Switch collection video, and I was like, of course, because I was thinking about doing that. But it's because it's the 4th anniversary of the Switch. It's been out for 4 years and almost 1 month, so just over 4 years now. And it seems like yesterday still, honestly. And I've gotten a lot of stuff for the Switch because I love this system, and it's probably, when it's all said and done and nostalgia is able to kick in a couple years down the line, this is probably going to be my second favorite system ever, after the N64. And it's different than my N64 collection and from my Wii U collection because I have, a full North American set for my 64 collection. And if I talked about that, which I basically am doing because I'm doing, streaming every single game to some extent, and I talk about, more it's, how I feel about the game now if I haven't played it before, but also if I have played it before, sort of specifically what that game means to me and what I remember about it. So that's kind of what you get with the 64 one, but there's no interesting games. There's no, like, this game versus this game. Why do I have this game and not this game? Because I have them all. And same thing with the Wii U. Like, I have most of the games. I have just about everything that seems like it'd be worth playing on the Wii U that came out in North America. And so I don't have sort of a, like, this is why I bought this game. I bought this game because it's on the Wii U, and I love the Wii U. That's why I bought it. And that doesn't even have much of a nostalgia factor to it because I just enjoyed the Wii U at the time, and I just kept buying stuff. I bought a lot of the stuff as it came out because it was my system that I had, and I've picked up a lot of stuff in, the time since. But with the Switch, massive, massive library. Everybody's Switch collection is going to look pretty different because there's so much to get. There's so much coming out all the time, and there's so much stuff on it that I enjoy. It has a diverse library, more than you can say for a lot of the Nintendo systems that I have played and collected for a long time now, and that's why a Switch collection video, not only is it probably going to have some interest in it because it's the Switch and it's so popular, but also it's going to be a video that it's probably going to feel pretty good to make, other than if I lose my voice for talking so long, because my Switch collection is not like anybody else's Switch collection. Obviously, we're going to have the same staples and everything, but my Switch collection does not look like the next guy's Switch collection or anybody else's Switch collection, really. So, with that out of the way, my first video here that I'm going to start, I'm probably not even going to get to all of the ones on this table today. I just kind of brought out however many I thought was going to be like my limit. But I'm going to start today with the special editions, stuff I have in big box, cool looking stuff. And I'm going to start with the biggest box of them all, which is Ring Fit Adventure. I got this for Christmas, this past Christmas, from my boss, because I kept bringing up that I did want to try it and everything, but unlike playing Wii Fit, which has the balance board, or actually in a very similar way to having Wii Fit with the balance board, I live on the second floor, just like I did in my last place, and I really didn't want to be like, stamping on the floor, because I still have people above me, and they stamp around on the floor all the time, and it sucks, and I don't want to be that guy. So I didn't really want to get it at all, but he tried it out, and he told me that, like, yeah, there is a version of this, or there is a way to play this that you don't have to actually, like, take steps, like, run. in place, like in your apartment, and make a lot of noise. So I have tried this a couple times. I haven't really kept up with it that much, and the weather is getting nicer. So I mean, not today because it's raining, it's shitty out, but I have tried this, and I do think it's really cool what they've done with it. The ring thing is really, really well made and well built. I just haven't kept up with it because so busy and just so tired all the time. But it is a cool game, and I'm really glad that Nintendo did something so innovative with this. I think it's cool stuff. So, the largest box of all my large box games out of the way. Let's just kind of go down the line, getting it with size. So the two next largest boxes, this is Toki Retrolector Edition. And actually, the funny thing about this is that I've been doing pickup videos for pretty much the entire time that the Switch has been out. So I've gone over all these at different points, but I've done it as I pick the games up and not necessarily have played them yet and why they interested me. So if this might change if you've seen me talk about a game in a pickups video. This has not changed because I have not played this. I literally picked this up because it was being clearanced out at GameStop and is a big box collector's edition. I do think it's a cool game. It is a remake of Toki, the side-scrolling arcade game. And I've never seen a collector's edition like this because the big box comes from the fact that you get pieces to make a little arcade cabinet to stick your Switch in. You also get a comic book and stickers and stuff. But I've never seen anything like that, and, I think they were clearancing out $10 or $20 or something like that. It was a $50 game in this box, which is already a good deal for a special edition like this. But yeah, I could not get this, so I was really excited to pick this up for a collector's edition with stuff that I've never seen and probably will never see again. The same type of stuff in that. And then same thing with this one. This is La Mulana 1 and 2 Hidden Treasures Edition. In this big crazy, I thought that this was going to be a super limited release that was already like over $100, but it wasn't, and I saw the price on this. It was like $60 or $70, and I was like, I have to pick this up. It is an 8-bit style side scroller with like platforming and puzzles and stuff, and it's just got just a big lovely box with amazing artwork on it and a puzzle. It's got a puzzle in it and a nice, really very nice hardbound book. And I don't want to get into the habit of taking all the stuff out and then having to have part of the video be me putting the stuff back and trying to do it right. So I'm not going to do all of that, but it's got a puzzle and a hardbound book and a soundtrack and yeah, just really, really nice looking stuff here. Couldn't pass it up for $60 or $70. I'll never see that at that price again, probably. Oh god, I remember getting this a while ago, and I've played this for like 10 minutes. This is Crystal Crisis, the first of many games we're going to see today from Nicalis, which when the Switch came out and started, the games were only coming out so fast, and the games that I wanted were only coming out so often that I pretty much bought everything that Nicalis put out right away because they would do these cool physical editions with a lot of bonuses. This is the only one, I think, that I have from them that is in a big box. And the reason that it has that is because it's got a little, like, puzzle cube thing. It's really not even like a puzzle cube. It's really just like a fidget cube. Crystal cluster, like this. And I've taken this out and I've messed around with it a bunch of times while I'm looking at stuff. That is really cool. There's not really a lot to say about this game from the little that I've played. Because it is just... It's a matching puzzler, and unless the matching puzzlers are really, really good, I don't really take to them right away, because I'll just go back to Tetris, so. But a cool package, and I don't buy every Nicalis game that comes out anymore. You will see a lot of Nicalis games in these videos, because I did buy a lot of them, and I still have picked up a fair few of them that have come out since I stopped getting every single one. But yeah, this is the only, like, big fancy edition, in a big box that they ever put out. Gonna need that. So another game I haven't actually started yet because I picked it up with sort of the hope that, like, okay, this is a nice looking edition and everything. And the game on the Switch right now supposedly doesn't work. I think they have patched it, and I think this is sort of now on my short list of games to get. This is Black Sad Under the Skin with a limited edition with a slipcover and a holographic slidey bit for the cover and character cards that are still sealed here like this. And it's a furry detective game that is sort of like a Telltale game. I was looking up my stuff so that I would have a little bit idea of stuff that I haven't really played yet. And this game was like, definitely reminded me of Wolf Among Us. God, I hope I have the right name. The one that's based on Fables, the comic book series that I did play for the 360. Looks just like this. There's all animals and stuff, and there's detective, and yeah, cool stuff. Hopefully this works when I go to play it. And of course, the big fancy version of Sonic Mania Plus here, which I have flipped to the alternate Genesis style cover. Wasn't sure if I had left it that way. On the inside there, the original cover. What can you say about Sonic Mania? It was brilliant. Everything that 2D Sonic games should be at this point. Comes with this big slipcover and an art book. And yeah, it's super good. It is this game that will a similar release that we'll talk about in probably the third video I do for this. They have made a 2-pack that has what is it? So it's Sonic Mania and Team Sonic Racing. And if that goes on sale, it keeps. I see the two games that they've done that way for $30 keep going on sale for that much. Pick that package up. $15 for Sonic Mania and Team Sonic Racing. Like, get it. Don't hesitate. Next, Flashback Anniversary. A game I've tried to play in its original form a couple times and have now tried to play on the Switch. This is really, again, is all about packaging for me. It's got a really, really nice steel case right here that looks like a Super Nintendo cartridge. That's awesome. And this is a port of an old PC release, and I think got console ports, got all that stuff. And done really well, big box edition. The game itself, like, it's that old type of platformer with, like, really very deliberate controls that I can't really get into, and I always have trouble with, but I do appreciate the scope of the game, in that sense, and the stories that they tell in that series. It's cool stuff. I do like this collector's edition. Next collector's edition we've got here, featuring a big old bar across the top because you need to download extra content for it. How much extra? 24 gigabytes. That's not great. But this is the big box 2K18, NBA 2K18 Legend Edition. One guess as to why I wanted this, it's got Shaq on the cover. I knew as soon as this came out that I was going to get this version of this game for the Switch when it dropped in price, and I think I paid $12 for this, sealed. And I have opened it once and put it in and waited for it to download the extra stuff, and then realized I didn't really want to play a sim basketball game at that point, and I put it away. And I've since upgraded my SD card, and I have not re-downloaded that. So time will tell if I ever actually like stop and play this. But they keep putting out those 2K games for Switch. They haven't done all of them. They haven't done a lot of sports games. But one thing that keeps coming out for the Switch is they do keep making 2K. So props for that. Well, we're not getting very much. Next, Layers of Fear Legacy, a brilliant first-person survival horror game. This was printed by Limited Run. It had to have been, right? Because I'm looking at it now and I'm realizing that the Limited Run logo isn't on here anywhere. But I have played this. It's brilliant. What the hell is it? This is totally Limited Run. I know that. There's a sequel to it, too. I really hope that gets a printing as well. Even if it doesn't come in this big box like this with a soundtrack and stuff. I would never listen to this soundtrack, by the way. It's too scary. Why do games with soundtracks always... They always come with soundtracks. They're like, I would never listen to this. They would freak me out so much. But yeah, no, so this is really good. This is really well done. Just crafted is the word that I use for this. This is a well set up horror experience that I highly recommend. and it has a sequel that I really hope I get the chance to buy physical as well. Next, this is the second time I bought this game, and now, looking back, buying The Witcher 3 and being like, yes, I really want to support CD Projekt Red, is like, well, maybe you don't have to buy everything that they do. But Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition, a game that I had on PS4, and it was really, really hard for me to get into it. Particularly with the combat. Like, that combat was just not set up for me. But I tried, I put it in my Switch, and I tried it again, and I still didn't really take to it, but it's a lovely, lovely complete edition in a big box here for a game that is a monumental game. Like, I can admit that I don't like this particular style of game. I have to put more work into it. But my God, like, this game impresses me so much. And last, but certainly not least, for big box collector's edition stuff for the Switch, Hyper Light Drifter. This just came out a couple weeks ago and is going to be in my upcoming pickups videos. I was aware of the existence of Hyper Light Drifter for 4 or 5 years, and saw it, and it didn't necessarily show me why it was different than other, like, pixel art indie games inspired by Zelda. And then I saw this special edition coming out because I'd never really had the opportunity to buy it on physical before. And I looked up the game again, and the music was what really struck me because it gave me big, big Celeste vibes. A brilliant, brilliant game with amazing soundtrack. And I said, you know what, this game looks absolutely gorgeous, and this collector's edition does too, with its soundtrack, keychain, translation card. It's kind of cool. And just a nice physical edition. And this, to go on what I said about Layers of Fear, this, when I paid for this, I was like, this is like the second time I've ever gotten a game, and I can think that I would listen to the soundtrack on the CD that comes with it. The only other time that's ever happened, and I didn't think of it with, like, when I bought it, I wasn't really interested in the soundtrack, and then I played it, and I was like, oh, and there's a CD here, and I'll listen to it. But this is like, oh, I can't wait to put that soundtrack on. I haven't done it yet, but I will, because I've actually listened to it on Spotify. So with that out of the way, that's all of the collector's edition stuff here. I've been doing this for like 15 minutes. I think 2 stacks of the games here on the table, that'll be good, and then we'll leave time to maybe come back next week and do another part of this. First stack of games. And we're starting alphabetical here, of course. You're going to see some stuff in here that is going to come up on my next pickups video, so it might be a little redundant when you watch that because there's going to be like 12 Switch games. It's ridiculous. But anyway, here we are, starting at the top with 1-2 Switch. I am in the same boat as a lot of people that when I saw this game, it really gave the vibes that, like, that looks like a game that you pack in as a tech demo because it shows you all the stuff that your system can do. But no, they released this full price and charged $60 for it. I was not going to pay $60 for it, but this game has refused to really go down much in price. And it's not because it's not without its merits, because this game actually is really, really, really fun when you play it. And you got to play it with people, obviously. This is a really good game, and this is sort of like a base level Mario Party game that I really played it once before I bought it, and I said, hey, that's actually a lot of fun. I really wish it had been packed in, but it was a lot of fun. And I waited on it until it was like $30-something, and I was like, that's about as low as it's going to get. I'm going to pick it up. And I have played it since I bought it, and it's still really, really enjoyable. But that's going to be its legacy, that game that everyone thought should have been a pack-in, just like Nintendo Land. Next, this is a new game that I picked up on Amazon. You can get this for $15 right now. On Amazon, this is 1971 Project Helios. This is what I found that I do actually enjoy, is a turn-based strategy game about, I guess, the sun dies and people post-apocalyptic have to like scramble for food and stuff. This was released exclusively at GameStop. I found out after I bought it because I didn't buy it at GameStop. I bought it on Amazon for $15, and I was like, oh, that's... Gotta hope this game's not bad. And it seems okay. I haven't played it yet, but it did seem like an interesting like game to grab. This is actually a release from GS2 Games, who have one of the worst logos. If you want me to actually take you seriously, as not like a bottom of the barrel publisher, but I've bought games from them that aren't the worst. The worst right now is Maximum. Like, Maximum is putting out garbage. But GS2 has put out a couple games in the past couple of years that I think they're carving themselves out a nice little spot as one of those budget publishers. So good on them. We've got Aces of the Luftwaffe Squadron Extended Edition. I don't know the order in which to say these things, because the only thing it says on the side is Aces of the Luftwaffe Squadron. This is a top-down shooter published by THQ Nordic. It was alright. I played this about a year ago, and I really liked the boss design and the different designs of the pilots in the game. But I wasn't blown away by it. Part of that was the art style I didn't think was that great. It was kind of silly. There's also a sense of, like, grinding on earlier missions to come back so that you're strong enough to do the later ones, but it's a little bit too basic. I didn't really care for grinding like that, but it's a solid game. If it's like $20, I would definitely recommend it. But just don't expect, like, some of the great shooters that have been re-released on the Switch. It is more of a, like, play it to the end and play all the missions in it. But don't expect to be, like, popping it back in for another run. It's basically how I feel about it. All-Star Fruit Racing. You've seen this on a lot of bargain racks. Another game published by P-Cube, sort of in the same vein as GS2 has been in the past couple years. This is a game that came out in the first year of the Switch, and Mario Kart had been out for a couple months at that point. I remember saying, that doesn't look like the worst. Like, I think it's worth a try. There was no Crash Team Racing yet, either. So I've played this a couple times. It's fine. It's very bland, despite having, like, lots of fruit and stuff in it. It's okay. I wouldn't recommend it that strongly. The game that came out at the most perfect time in the world, Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been watching people talk about, actually, the past year of Nintendo Switch and saying, you know, how New Horizons, some people put hundreds and hundreds of hours. I have two friends who have put hundreds of hours in this game. And I myself have put, 40 to 60 hours, if I remember correctly. I just haven't played it much lately because I don't feel like keeping up with the events and stuff, but when you were sitting at home all day and not really sure what you were going to be doing, this was perfect. So, if you haven't played it yet, definitely do it, and you will get your money's worth out of it. And some of you might even get that hundreds of hours sweet spot that some people get, and I don't know how people do that, but another game that came out and was very exciting when it came out, but has really dropped off, and I don't really care very much about it anymore. ARMS, new IP from Nintendo that they proceeded to really not do anything with other than just be like, yep, it's got online. It's okay. I actually, in videos that I was watching, one from Nintendo Life just last night about, I've put X amount of hours in these games. One of the presenters said that their friend had put like 600 hours in this game, and I went, how? I can't imagine. I cannot imagine putting that much time into ARMS, but apparently they did. I was like, okay. I'd put like 15. It's alright. Atari Flashback Classics. This is the best way to buy this compilation if you've seen any of these out for like PS4 and stuff. They do like $20 compilations, but they are in 3 separate volumes. The third of which is like the most interesting one, but also the one with nothing that you'd actually want to play. So this, all 3 of them are on this one, and that's really the reason to get this, is because it's, if you see 150 different games or versions of games, and I think this is like $30, like, yeah, that's, 20 cents a game. So that's pretty cool. You get the ones that you're going to go back to are stuff that you probably have on other things if you have a collection, but it's a nice little package. I do think it was worth getting. One of the games that in my, looking stuff up that I haven't really played, and, oh my god, why didn't I play that game? Trying to make time for stuff as I go through this, like, in a collections video and like look at all my stuff and be like, you know, why can't you just sit down and give it a shot? Axiom Verge came out really, really early on the Switch in that first year. And that's what really baffles me, that I didn't really even try to play this that much. I got it, and I don't know what else came out or what else, you know, made me not feel like playing this at the time. But this is a Metroid-style 2D platformer that has gotten rave reviews from people. And at this point, I look at this and I'm like, yeah, I could really go for that. I might try this today. I have no idea what else I'm going to do today. Other than like play NBA Jam for game after game after game to try and get through it. But yeah, Axiom Verge. Heard a lot of great things. I don't have the special edition. I really just wanted to get the regular version of this, and I'm glad that I own it. But I'm baffled I never actually played it, because I remember putting it in once and it not taking. But like, why didn't I try it again? So next, the first of the three old school Dungeons and Dragons re-releases. This is Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 Enhanced Editions. This is the one that upsets me the most. Not because of anything that this game did wrong, but because people insist on saying that they thought that this was going to be Dark Alliance, and they get mad. People get mad that these games are not the Dark Alliance games. It doesn't say Dark Alliance anywhere on here. This is more just about me, you know, complaining about as a retail employee. Like, they never said it was Dark Alliance. These are the Baldur's Gate games, the PC ones. Just like Planescape is a PC game, and Icewind Dale is a PC game, and Neverwinter Nights is a PC game. Just because these share a general series name with games that you have played before and are completely different doesn't make them selling. Does not mean that they're trying to sell you based on you thinking that it's a different game. Really, really looking forward to actually buckling down and saying you don't have to play this on normal mode, like you don't have to play this on the old difficulty settings. I've seen people reviewing these games, and I'm like, why can't I get into these games? And they're like, if you haven't played these before and you wanted to give it a shot, like, just do the new story mode that, like, isn't going to be really hard on you. And I'm like, I think I'll do that. Like, I really do want to play these for the stories, particularly Planescape. So, yeah, I will probably be trying this sometime in the near future, and not doing it the original way, but like, these are games that interest me so much, all 5 of these, and I don't want to be put off by not being good at them. So I will be checking that out in the near future, I think. Battle Chef Brigade Deluxe Edition. This is one of many limited run games that we'll be talking about on this series of videos. This is the first one that I think I picked up at Best Buy, not because I really, really wanted it, or because I wasn't doing limited run games through the pre-orders anymore, but I didn't really need it. I wasn't like super excited about it, but I saw it in Best Buy, and I was like, you know, they're giving me another chance to buy this game. I think I will pick it up, and then I never played it. It's sort of it's a mix between like a 2D platformer and a match 3 puzzler, and I do think that the sort of like cook-off mechanics are a really interesting thing about this game. I just haven't really given it a shot or got into it, but again, going through all these games, this is part of why I'm doing it, is I'm like, I really should play that. Like, shouldn't I? But for now, it goes back on the stack. Next, Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. I just saw that Repentance is coming out at the end of this month, which is real cool. Don't need that, because I have not played hundreds and hundreds of hours of Binding of Isaac like some people have, but I have played it, and I have come back to it several times. It is really very unusual for me to play one of these roguelike style games and not become obsessed with it, because I never really have done that, but still want to come back to it like at various points and try it again. And that is what this game has done, which no other game like it has. And with that, I'm really glad that I have, you know, that first print re-release, that first print Switch release has this manual that looks like the Zelda manual, and it's got stickers. It's got stickers in there and stuff. Cool stuff. You will see me a lot of times. Oh yeah, and it's Nicalis. And yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that the Nicalis goes in. Next, Bioshock, the collection. Obviously, like a lot of people, I absolutely love Bioshock. The first one in particular, liked 2 more than most people, but I played that last, and liked Infinite a little bit less than most people. And with that, I also never played any of the DLC, so that was really my primary reason for getting this is because, like, okay, you finally have one that has all of the DLC on it, and you can actually get around to it. And it's an excuse to play them again if you ever really want to. And I did start the first one, only to realize that there's not really any DLC for that one. It's pretty much all for Infinite. So I will try to play Infinite again and see how I feel about it the second time, and then get to some DLC, which would be cool. But for right now, it's just good to have the Bioshock games on that one set. On a Switch card. Handheld. Awesome. That's something I haven't really said yet either. It's that, like, yeah, this is the Switch. Like, the Switch has handheld mode for games that, like, you couldn't have dreamed playing in handheld. But there you go. Another one of those, like, procedurally generated / like roguelike, infinite, blah 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 games. Black Future 88, and I gotta tell you, I love the vibe of this game. I love the style of it. But again, like most of those roguelike games, hasn't really grabbed me. I haven't become obsessed with it. But I have played it like twice. I've given it a few runs each time, and I can see myself doing the Binding of Isaac thing where I do go try it again. But I've only played it so much. I do think it's really interesting and really well made and cool. Alright, next. Bloodstained. Both the Bloodstained games that are out so far. And actually thinking, I don't know if I'm going to wait for Best Buy, but I might end up pre-ordering this today, the Curse of the Moon 2, which is currently on its last day for limited run pre-orders. And the more I keep looking at this, like getting ready for this video, I'm like, oh, I should get that one, huh? But Bloodstained, so these are two very, very different games inspired by two very, very different types of Castlevania. And I've played this one all the way through one time, and I've played like 2 hours of this one, and I should get back to both of these, I am aware. But they are beautiful. It's Koji Igarashi, you know, with Konami not making games anymore, going and saying, hey, let's just make these. It's not Castlevania, but it is Castlevania, and that's exactly why you should look into these games. You've got a Symphony of the Night, you've got an NES style, you've got stuff to enjoy from both of these games, big time. Oh, and also, this one is limited run. This one is not. This is regular retail from 505. Anyway, continue rolling. We're almost done with the first stack. We'll do one more stack and we'll be done. And we'll have like a 45-minute video here. Brawl Out. I bought this like a lot of people probably did because Smash Brothers was not out yet, and it looked like Smash Brothers, and I was like, that's a cool $20, $30 game to tide me over. And I barely played it until Smash Brothers came out, and have played it more since Smash Brothers came out because I realized I never played it. And it's okay. It's fine. It's mostly original characters, and then a couple. It's got Juan from Guacamelee and Hyper Light Drifter actually are in it. And the mechanics are a little bit different, so that's actually the biggest problem you're going to have going to it, is be like, oh, this isn't exactly Smash Brothers. And that's a problem for me because I can't get used to it. But it's cool. It's a valiant effort, but it's never going to be Smash Brothers. So I wouldn't recommend picking it up because all you're going to say is it's not Smash Brothers. Broken Age, a game I've actually tried to get through a couple times, but I don't know, it just doesn't have the same like magic as other games from Tim Schafer. So, but it is a cool game. I do like that Elijah Wood is the main this guy. You're basically playing like two different stories in two very different. Yeah, Elijah Wood, Jack Black, and yeah. I don't know who the third person actually is, and I feel bad about that. I'll have to look them up. I assume it's the person who plays her. Masasa Moyo. Yeah, I actually don't know who that is. I feel bad about that. But yeah, this is Tim Schafer's most recent point-and-click adventure. And it's okay, but it hasn't compelled me to play through the whole thing, so take that for what you will. But it is a limited run release that is very nice. Capcom, you will see this on the eShop if you're in the US as the Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle, which is the appropriate name for it, but this is the Japanese physical release that I got from Play Asia because, of course, I did. Capcom Belt Action Collection has Final Fight. Okay, cool. Don't really need it. King of Dragons, great game. Captain Commando, Knights of the Round, all great. Battle Circuit, Powered Gear, and now that I'm looking at it, I forget what the last one is because it's only written in Japanese here. Anyway, but yeah, it's got 7 games on it. It's got 7 beat 'em ups, and they're awesome. You don't have to get a physical of this, but I was compelled to. I've had that for a couple years now too. All right, great games. All those great games. Next, Carnival Games. This was like $12, and I think I've gotten $12 of entertainment out of it. So it is what it is. It's fine. It's a fine. If you've played Carnival Games before, you know that level of quality to expect from the games. And so if you pay $12 for it and play it with somebody else, you'll get that much value out of it. This is one that, unlike a lot of stuff I have gotten recently and I haven't actually opened it yet. Cat Quest and Cat Quest 2 Possum Pack. I had the first one for PS4 and I played a little bit of it. And I thought it was cool, but like, I don't know, it was a little bit oversimplified with the graphics and stuff and didn't really grab me, even though it was an action RPG that I did think the gameplay of it was pretty cool. And then this game I got for $20, which is the same price that I spent on the first one originally and had actually considered just getting it on the Switch and trying it again anyway. So I was going to pay $20 again for just the first one, but then this basically, both of them is $20. So that's cool. And they're cool games, and I think I will enjoy them if I play them again. A game that I thought I was going to play the hell out of when I got it, but I didn't. Cave Story Plus. This is one of the games on my shelf that is like bulging out of its packaging because there's so much stuff in it because it's Nicalis. If we pop it open, oh my lord, it's got one of the many Nicalis loves to do these little cinch sacks here. There's a keychain inside. There's a manual. And this is one of the ones that they've done which has a little mini CD for the soundtrack. I won't even try to put a mini CD in one of my CD players. Nothing's going to happen. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to bother. And of course, we were talking about this earlier with Hyper Light Drifter because of the soundtrack, but this is Celeste. How long did we all wait on a Celeste physical from Limited Run? I haven't even played this game off of this cartridge because I played it off the download, and all I wanted, I was like, I have to own this game physical. Like, this game is amazing, one of the best platformers that you will ever play, with an amazing soundtrack and amazing storyline. Get this, however you can, get this. Next, a nice little 2-pack here, Child of Light Ultimate Edition and Valiant Hearts The Great War. I've only played one of these so far. I played Valiant Hearts a little bit, and it was a cool little like puzzle-focused adventure game based on World War I, which is really cool. And I haven't played Child of Light at all, but that's actually probably what most people will want from this package rather than Valiant Hearts, from what I can tell. Because Child of Light is on the Vita, and it's one of the few it's more of an action RPG than a turn-based JRPG, and I think a lot of people liked it, so most people will be compelled to pick this up for this one. But it is a nice little 2-pack. I do think is really cool. It's Ubisoft games that don't play like Ubisoft games. Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics. One of the games I played probably the most all of last year on my Switch. I played everything on this. It was great. The presentation was absolutely brilliant. Pick this up. You might not think you need this game, but like it's just really well done. It's any type of game that is like this, like Nintendo was going to do the best job with it on their own system. So like pick this one up. Like there's so little you can actually say about it because it's like, yeah, it's got chess and stuff. It's got poker and card games and really nice little toy games on it, but yeah, just pick it up because it's just really well done. Code of Princess EX, another Nicalis game that is a port of a 3DS game based very strongly on the style introduced in Guardian Heroes back on the Saturn. You know that because they put this little tagline here, be the guardian of 50 plus heroes, and they made the word Guardian in Heroes look like the Guardian Heroes logo with the orange and stuff. So, that being said, I have not really played this that much. The RPG elements have kind of thrown up a little bit of a roadblock, but I will point out, I think this is the first one of these games that I've gone over from Nicalis that I can show you this and show you how crazy I get over keeping everything that Nicalis gives you. So I've opened this, obviously, and it's got a manual and it's got the soundtrack mini CD. But when those come out in the shrink wrap has this sticker on the outside of it that says exciting goodies inside. And I very, very carefully take off the sticker from the outside of the plastic wrap, and I put it on the inside of the game so I don't lose that sticker. Because I'm crazy. Okay. We got like 2/3 of this stack left to go. Got this pretty recently. This is Collection of Mana for the Switch. And I actually picked up for my partner a couple weeks ago because one of their favorite games ever is actually Secret of Mana 2. And I picked them up the Trials of Mana remake, and they've been loving that. So in the house we've got we've got Trials of Mana remake for the Switch. We've got a repro of Secret of Mana 2 for the Super. And I've now got the Collection of Mana regular pack, which has the first Mana game, which is Final Fantasy Adventure for the Game Boy, rebranded over here, obviously. Regular Secret of Mana and Trials of Mana in its original form as Secret of Mana 2, the 16-bit version. And if I play it, I really do actually want to play the 16-bit version so that it lines up with everything. Especially because that Secret of Mana remake from a couple years ago, people didn't really like that. So, but I think the Trials of Mana one was done better. This is a game I have not played at all. The Coma Recut. It is a 2D horror adventure that takes place. It says on the back, a Korean indie cult classic. And I've tried it a little bit, and I just like the setting and the characters. I just couldn't grab onto them the first time. I'll probably give it another shot, but like this one passed me by really quick. But it's a cool one to see on the shelf. These two right here, of course, both Crash Team Racing and Crash the Insane Trilogy, soon to be joined by a physical for, Crash 4. I've already played Crash 4 though and have it on PS4, but I'll pick that up for the Switch eventually. So obviously I got Insane Trilogy when it came out for the PS4 and played all of them. And so I have not replayed them on the Switch yet, but have to make sure I have that on the Switch. And got Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled for the Switch when it came out, and I played the hell out of it too. Both great remakes of games that are some of my favorites from my childhood, so of course I think very highly of them. Really the first time that I've even really got into Darius, the Darius Cosmic Collection, this game, the Darius Cosmic Collection, games with this title have had a really weird set of releases, both on physicals and on digitals. But this is the version that I own. I own basically the arcade version, which it shows you exactly what it has. It just has different versions of 4 different games. Darius, it has the old version, an updated version, the extra version. It has Darius 2. It has Sagaya, version 1 and version 2, and it has Darius Gaiden. Those are very, very different versions, or very similar versions of 4 very different Darius games, essentially. This, however, was the first time that I ever learned that Darius, in its original arcade format, was presented on 3 horizontal screens lined up this way. So it's a really, really wide screen with a really, really like narrow top to bottom, and they actually present that to you if you want it in this. It is really, really weird. I'd never really played the Darius games before, so I have this collection. I've played a little bit of it. And it's a weird, weird adjustment to make. But it's a very, very highly thought of series of shoot-'em-ups. And getting that on physical is very nice to have. Derek is going for how many Darksiders games can I own before I actually play one through to the end. I have specifically not bought Darksiders 3, even though it's like $10 and I can just pick it up for nothing for $10, and just have it on the shelf. But I have literally not picked it up because I will not play it because I've got 1, 2, and now this one to play. Darksiders Genesis is the prequel to the Darksiders games, which I do think are really cool games. They're one of the few times you'll see the word Zelda clone thrown around accurately. And this is even more of a Zelda clone because this is more like an isometric, sort of like this, or you could say it's like Diablo, it's full 3D graphics with elevated view, more like a 2D game would have, or an isometric view 2D game would have. And yeah, it's the prequel to the first one. And I don't know if I'll play this first because it's now the only one that I own on the Switch, or if I will actually try to play my Wii U ones. which I'm really glad that I have them on Wii U. But it's a really cool series that I have not played for more than a few hours at any time. Dead Cells, Action Game of the Year Edition. You don't actually need to buy one version or the other to get the extra stuff, I found out, because it's actually free DLC. And this version of the game, however, does come with a little keychain and a manual, or not a manual, but an art book. And you can flip around the cover to make it look more like the original, too. I've heard a lot of great things about this game, but much like at least one other game I can think of off the top of my head that we'll talk about another time, just the 2D, like, really hard action game thing has not really... The 2D, really hard roguelike has not really taken for me, so that's all I'll say. Like, why haven't you played Dead Cells that much? The style of the game is just not grabbing me because it's a lot of work. Got this the other day. Deadly, or Dead 2E, Premonition 2, A Blessing in Disguise. I've been really on the fence about picking this up. Only really convinced myself to get it because it's around $30 right now, and it will never be that price again. It might get lower before it goes back up and stays there forever, because that's what happened with the first game. And I've tried to play the first game, Deadly Premonition, a couple times. I've never stuck with it to play through all the way to the end, and that's the other reason I didn't really want to get it, because I actually thought about getting the first one, Deadly Premonition Origins, on Switch as well, and I said, I don't know if that's really going to make a difference, and I might just want to pick this up and play it eventually and see if it's if I stick with it better than the first one, which I've tried a couple times. But yeah, no, I don't know if I'll ever play the first one all the way through to the end, but I'm glad to now have the first one. My copy ended up being Peggy, whatever. Still the same game. Wild game. Not to say I don't appreciate the game. I definitely do. It's just not an easy game to play for a long time. Next up, Diablo 3, The Eternal Collection. As soon as this game got announced for Switch, I knew I would get it eventually. It is one of the few, like, real RPG games that I have played before and played all the way through to the end. So now that you have all the extra stuff on it, I was glad to get the full collection. However, if you want to get through that stuff, you pretty much have to play the game again, and that's what's kept me from really playing it, is because the stuff that is new to me, I have to play through the stuff I played before. And obviously it's really, really easy for a lot of people playing Diablo. I'm really, really excited to play the resurrected version of Diablo 2 when it comes out. But yeah, it's just like having the best version of Diablo 3 on Switch is what's important to me. Dimension Drive, the first release for the Switch from East Asia Soft, and I've seen a lot of their stuff both on Switch and on PS4. I haven't actually played this yet. This is one of the shooters that I've had that the main mechanic of it, even though it looks interesting, also looks really hard to get into for me. So I end up just playing other shooters that are more straightforward, because this is basically like you have to focus on two things. That's the way they present it to you on the box, and that's like the reason I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that yet. But as a shooter, I'm glad that I have physical. I'm always glad to have shooters that will not stay easily obtainable for a long time. Next up, Disney Classic Games, Aladdin and Lion King. Great little package with multiple versions of each game, just doesn't have the Super Nintendo Aladdin, which when I bought this, I made sure to get Super Nintendo Aladdin because it's the only one that I didn't have. But Genesis Aladdin is still great, and then you've got Genesis, Game Boy, and Game Gear versions of all three, and then the Super Nintendo version of Lion King as well, and then fancy little soundtrack modes and museum modes and rewind features, which is very, very useful. Nice little package of two really, really great games. And where I'll leave you off for today, if I'm not into Baldur's Gate, or if I've had a hard time getting into Baldur's Gate, and I haven't made the time for Diablo, I can say how glad I am to own this game, but you can imagine it is a daunting task for me to get into Divinity Original Sin 2, a game that I've heard nothing but praise for, and that's why I really, really wanted to own it. But I know that it is a tall order for me to really put a lot of hours into this game. But I'm so glad I have this very, very nice limited run physical for Divinity Original Sin 2 with a big old chunky manual, even for limited run who make sure to make manuals or some sort of like physical piece of paper inside of it. This is a manual. This is an actual manual. It is thick and chunky, and it's got 47 pages inside. That is a big old manual, buddy. And as a game, you need it for. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed listening to me talk about my Switch games for almost a full hour. This is... I wanted to do this, like I said, because you're not going to get the same video from me that you're going to get from anybody else on collecting Switch games, which is not something I can say for some of the other consoles that I have collections for. And like I said, there'll be more parts of this as my voice comes back, and I can do the rest of just my regular case releases and wrap that up. This collection is not done growing. It's far from done growing. Like, the Switch is still out. The Switch is still huge. I'm going to have a massive, massive Switch collection by the time it's all said and done. I'll probably never stop buying games for the Switch because so much comes out for it. But this is where we're at right now. We're 4 years into the system, and my God, do I love it. I think it's amazing. I own two. I own a regular and a light. I mean, yeah, I don't see any way that the Switch does not go down as a top 3. Absolute minimum top 3. Keep on keeping on. You, Switch, everything. Thanks.